What's good? Welcome back to the Loophole channel. In this video I'm going to be breaking down like a dark, eerie type sample in the style of a 21 Savage or a Nardo Wick or artists like that. So all of the sounds in this sample, except for one Perc Loop that's been used, have come from me and XY Nothing's new analog lab bank called Impulse. We actually started working on it in November 2020, so we've been working on it for ages, but trust me, it was worth the wait. I think it might be my favorite pack that I put out so far. So the first and probably main sound in this sample is called By Yourself. It's a pad from the bank, and without any effects on it, it sounds like this. So I really like how it's a kind of choppy type sound. It really gives it a good textured foundation. So the first thing I did, actually I didn't do much to this sound at all. I just added a couple of EQs, so cut out the lows with this one, and then cut out some of the highs and boosted some of the high mids. So it gives it a bit more of a dark feeling. And then I added this H910 harmonizer with the subtle widener preset to give it a bit of a different feeling. It's a really subtle effect, so that's pretty much just how the original preset sounds. The next thing I did was, I think I added this synth first, so that any effects, it sounds like this. So I know I processed this sound a lot. The main thing that I've added to this sound is a thermal preset. The preset is called Scorched. I think I might have tweaked it slightly, but it really adds a gritty, distorted element to the sound. That was a little bit harsh, so I cut out some of the highs. Really gives it an old vintage feeling. And then for part of the sample, I half-timed it. So just for this section, I half-timed it. So I have my own grocery preset to half-time. And then I cut out some of the lows from the half-time. Gives it kind of like a 2017 2016 Metro Boomin feel. Next thing I did was added a lead. Oh, I forgot to mention what the preset was for the synth. It's called Daylight from the Impulse pack, and then the lead is called Kids MGMT after the song. The first thing I did to the sound was EQ it. That's generally the first thing I'll do to most sounds. So I will have cut out the lows with this one and some of the highs, done that even more with this one, and then cut out some of the middle resonant frequencies. Added a sound shifter at about a third mix to add another octave above. That's what I like to do with some dark sounds generally. So you can hear the high frequencies coming through more. Then I added a delay. I put it 100% mix. The delay time is about 40 milliseconds, so it basically hits immediately. It just adds a different texture, kind of vintage texture to it. Then I added a thermal preset called Spicy Room. Then an EQ on top of that to cut out some of the highs and some of the lows. That thermal will just add a bit of distortion, make it gritty. So together those three sounds sound like this. The only other thing I added to the first section was this synth texture, which I'm pretty sure is almost dry, yet it's just EQ'd a little bit and EQ'd here as well. And that sounds like this. It's called Stuck in a Transmitter, which is a pretty accurate description, to be honest. It's very low mix. Just adds a bit of a gritty texture to the sound. So that layered with the synth sounds like this. And then I added a flute called The Legend of Zelda. It's a flute preset, but what happens with the Mellotron is the one-shot loops over and over again. So if I press a key, So then when you're playing chords, it really adds texture to the sound. So then in context without any effects, it sounds like this. You can see obviously there's not much going on there melodically. It's really just to add some more texture, I think, to the sound. So then the first thing I did was added an Echo Boy Jr. almost 50-50 mix with a 1/4 delay pattern. Cut out a lot of the lows and some of the highs and I guess this resonant frequency here. And then I half-timed it going into the second section. So in context with the others. When it's half-timed, you can barely hear it. It's more to add, another layer to the sound. Because layers within these kind of samples, at least for me, they add a lot instead of it just being kind of bare bones. The bass is the final element of the melodic sample. If I wanted to, I could add some filter movement using the mod wheel. But I think because of the nature of the sample that I wanted to make, that didn't really fit. So the first thing I did, which I do for a lot of basses in samples, is added this Arteria EQ Citral with the Pultec bass boost preset. What it does is it just boosts these lows here and cuts out this mid frequency. You could do it in just a parametric EQ, it's just nice to have the preset there. So with the effect, it sounds like this. So it's just boosting some of the lows. And then I added a J37 mono with the bass DI preset. It makes it mono, obviously, and it adds a bit of a vintage punch to the bass, I think. And then the final element from the kit that I used was this rush noise sound. In the kit, there are 10 bonus textures like this, so I thought I may as well use one in the sample. Without effects, sounds like this. I just cut out some of the highs and some of the lows and then boosted this one high frequency. So then to complete the sample, I added this Perc Loop. I've made this Perc Loop. It's from a Foley percussion loop kit that I started a while back. Let me know in the comments if you want to see that come out. I stopped working on it at some point. It's got something like 20 loops in there, but if you want to see it, then I can make that up to something like 50 and then drop it in a pack. So without any effects, it sounds like this. And then I've got a reverse section as well. An EQ, just done like this, so it's kind of like a bandpass EQ. It sounds like this. So it fits into the mix better, and with everything involved, it sounds like this. And then in the main section, so then the final thing that I've done to the sample is added some master effects. When I'm making beats, I don't add anything to the master channel except for a soft clipper. But when I'm making samples, if I want to add an effect to all of the sound to make it a bit more cohesive, then obviously I'll use the master. So the first thing I did was just shift it up one semitone because I thought it was a bit dark, so I thought I might increase it in pitch a little bit. And then I will have removed some of the resonant frequencies using an EQ, compressed it a little bit, and then added J37 stereo with the Abbey Road default preset. I do this for a lot of my samples and then just turn down the noise in a lot of them. Sometimes I'll turn up the saturation, but I didn't feel like this one needed any of that. So then the sample in its entirety sounds like this. You just need to add some kind of gross beat effect or some kind of, you know, pitch stepped effect, and that will make it definitely a Nardo Wick type sample. But that's the sample breakdown finished. If you enjoyed the video, it would be amazing if you could leave a like and subscribe if you learned something new. Also, don't forget to let us know in the comments what you want to see in the next video. But until then.